Hey guys, welcome back for part 1 of a brand new kitchen makeover series. I've been working on a full kitchen remodel for my friends Brandy and Jeremy over the past few weeks, and we have been trying to achieve this whole renovation on a very tight budget. So we've DIY'd basically everything, and I'm going to share it all with you, starting with how to paint your kitchen cabinets and achieve a professional finish. I'm going to share all of my best tips, tricks, and techniques that I've learned along the way, as well as a one-step paint that makes it totally achievable for anyone to give their kitchen a major facelift for around $100. So if that sounds like your vibe, go ahead and subscribe, turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss any part of this series. I'm going to show you some before shots of the space we're working in, tell you about the paint we're using, and then we're going to get right into some of these tips and techniques.
So this is the paint that we are going to be using on the cabinets. It is Beyond Paint brand, and this is supposed to be a primer, paint, and sealer all in one. It says no stripping, no sanding, and no priming for furniture, cabinets, countertops, and more. So we're really going to put this to the test, see if it really is no prep or low prep, and how well this project turns out, because if this is true, if these claims are true, it makes updating your kitchen like so ridiculously affordable. So anyway, we chose this color bright white for the upper cabinets. The lowers in the island are going to be a different color, but for now we're just going to start in on the uppers.
Step 1, of course, is going to be to clean your cabinets very well. I'm using this simple green. It's a really good multi-purpose cleaner and degreaser. Works super well in the kitchen, but you can use any kind of cleaner that you like as long as it is a degreaser, and you can make sure that it's going to get all of that caked on grease, dust, all of the nastiness that accumulates on kitchen cabinets off. You want the cleanest surface possible. If you are using hot soapy water, that would be fine too, but just make sure that you go back in with a rinse cycle basically. So you're going to want to wash with your hot soapy water, wipe it all off, and then go back with hot clean water and just do a second pass over to make sure that you have no soap residue. As you can see, dust accumulates in kitchens, grease accumulates. You think that they're clean, they look clean, and then you get into those top spaces and tiny cracks and crevices, and they're actually very dirty. So even if you think that you've already wiped down your cabinets, that they're already clean, or that they haven't been that nasty, I promise you do need to wipe them down, and this is going to make all the difference when it comes to the longevity of your paint job. If there is anything underneath of that paint, it's just going to chip and flake off. So if you want a durable, lasting finish, you really need to put in the time that it takes to do proper prep work. Lucky for us, with this paint that we are using today, the only prep work involved is cleaning really well. But I am going to take it one step further. Since we're going to be taking all of the doors off of this cabinets, I'm just going to try to make it easy for my future self and label them all. So I've got some Ziploc bags and some Post-it notes. I'm going to label them for the number of cabinet doors that we have, and then as we pull them off of their hinges, I'm going to put the Post-it on the back of the cabinet door, the part that I will not be painting first, and then I'm going to put all of the hardware in the Ziploc bag and put that in the cabinet box itself. This is just going to make rehanging the cabinets extra easy, because believe it or not, they are not one size fits all, and it will be a lot more difficult to figure out what goes where if you don't have these labels. So even though this isn't necessarily a must-do prep work step when it comes to the actual paint job, I feel like it's basically mandatory in order to make this as stress-free as possible. No matter what you do, it takes a long time to paint kitchen cabinets, way longer than you think when you go into the project, and it can be very mentally stressful. So all of these little steps really do add up, and they make the overall job a more enjoyable experience, way less stressful, and you can just put your kitchen together better. But as you can see, after I made all of those Ziploc bags and Post-its, I put my husband on door duty. He's going to bring everything off of the hinges while I set up all of the paint triangles to keep these lifted and elevated off of the countertops, so that I don't paint on the countertops, but also so that I can get the edges around the doors a lot easier. And we're just going to set up this little paint station here so that we can get started on turning all of these from black cabinets to bright white. So I picked the bright white from the Beyond Paint brand, and when I opened it, I was a little surprised to see that it is thick. Like, she is solid. Definitely not the consistency of any other paint that I have ever tried. It's more of like a Greek yogurt slash chocolate pudding type of consistency, but that's how it's supposed to be, because this paint is a primer, paint, and sealer all in one, and it is really good at self-leveling, so that's why it's so thick. It's recommended to use a 3/8 inch nap for your roller, and then also a chip brush for the very specific technique that they instruct you to use. This is definitely the most tedious and time-consuming part of painting your kitchen cabinets. It is a lot of work just because of how tedious it is, but it's really not hard. In a few minutes, I am going to show you a really in-depth tutorial of what exactly I'm doing, but it did take me painting a couple of doors before I finally found my groove and realized what worked best. But basically, you use that chip brush to stipple the paint into all of the cracks and crevices, and you use the roller to roll the paint onto all of the flat, solid surfaces. So, like I said, it did take a couple of doors before I finally got in the groove, but once I did, it was really smooth sailing. It was a lot easier, less intimidating than it looks, and it turned out beautifully in the end. So, I'm going to play a little montage here, give you some music so you don't have to listen to me ramble for the next few minutes, and then I'll come back and show you that in-depth tutorial of the technique that I used and how it worked out for me.
You're a guilt trip, feeding me with all these lies. I feel sick. You're a bad choice that I made 5 years ago at some party in New York. Are you texting me to tell me that I'm shit? Why are you still going on about things I never did? Maybe you can't see that I'm hard to hold. I know I'm a basket case you think should be alone, but I still have my friends, don't want you. All I need is them, don't want you. I can barely sleep 'cause of you, but I still have my friends, don't want you. You're a nightmare, reminding me of who I am. I feel scared sometimes. Why'd you leave me be? I know I'm a mess, but I don't need you to tell me. I can't change the things that happen. I know my head's not right, right. I wish that I could be somebody that's good enough for you, but I still have my friends, don't want you. All I need is them, don't want you. I can barely sleep 'cause of you, but I still have my friends, don't want you. Forget about what you think you know about me now. Yeah, I don't care how you feel, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not the same as I was when it was you and I. It doesn't matter now. Oh, it doesn't matter now. Oh, it doesn't matter now. But I still have my friends, don't want you. All I need is them, so you. But I still have my friends, don't want you. All I need is them, don't want you. I can barely sleep 'cause of you, but I still have my friends, don't want you.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you a little how-to on the technique here. This is what is recommended by Beyond Paint. So we have a chip brush here, and you can see that the first thing I did was roll a thin layer of paint onto all of the flat surfaces that I could. Now I'm going to go in with this chip brush, and you want to stipple in a stippling motion. Don't swipe. This paint doesn't like it when you swipe. See how streaky that is? It is a self-leveling paint, which is why it's so thick. So the Beyond Paint brand and website recommend that you use a chip brush and you use the stippling motion and any of these detailed crevices like this, just all over. So I've been doing that on each one after I roll that initial layer. And like I said, this is self-leveling, so in those little way down deep portions there, it's going to kind of seep into those and level out with a smoother finish than what you're seeing. So definitely don't be afraid of the stippling. If you swipe though, you will not have the correct type of coverage in order for it to level, and it's just not going to be the professional finish or the durable finish that you're wanting. So anyway, I go through all of this. These cabinets are a lot of work because of how detailed they are, but the less detailed, if you have like a standard shaker style or a flat cabinet door, this would be a breeze. You just have to roll it. So anyway, I do all of that, and then I come back in with just the tiniest bit of paint on the roller just to smooth everything out. And you want to make sure that you don't have so much paint on your roller that it kind of just glides and like swipes on its own. You want to keep that roller rolling, and I'm just going to use it to smooth out all of these flat surfaces, and this is just going to help the paint a little. It's definitely not necessary, but it improves the quality of the finish substantially and makes sure that everything is keeping an even coat. And I wish you guys could see like how light of a touch I'm using. If you push down too hard, it will swipe, but you just want to just barely roll it over there, just enough pressure to get that paint on in an even coat, but not so much that it's swiping or mimicking a paintbrush. And that's how you'll get the best finish and the most professional finish that you can.
In the interest of efficiency, I painted all of those cabinet door fronts first and all of the edges with their first coat of paint. It took me between 3 and 9 minutes per door to get that first coat on, and then once I was finished with all of those, while they were drying, I went straight to the cabinet boxes that were still hung on the wall and started painting those. This was a little bit more tedious with all of the seams and cracks and crevices, trying to use that stippling motion. Just a little bit more tedious because you can't really maneuver these for how you need them to be. They're just stuck on the wall, so you have to kind of work around them. But it took me about 45 minutes to get the first coat on all of this, and by that time the first door that I had painted was close to being able to have its second coat. So there was really just like a 30-minute lull where I had a snack, drank some water, ate my lunch, and then moved on to the second coat of paint. Working in a circuit like this really did help with time efficiency especially, and just made a huge difference overall. Now, I will say the most difficult part of this is probably remembering to stick with that stippling motion. I feel like naturally our hands just want to swipe and get a crisp, clean line, but this paint does not work that way. If you swipe, you will have a very patchy and uneven coverage. In order for the self-leveling properties to work, you have to stick with that stippling technique. Overall, it's not too bad until you get to the edges that are up against the wall. Then it can be a little bit more challenging. So lucky for me, we are planning on painting all of the kitchen walls for the final before and after transformation video, so I didn't have to worry too much about getting paint on the walls. But if you are not going to be painting, or you might have tile that butts right up against the cabinets, you would definitely want to take that extra prep step and just tape off all of the edges so that you can stipple without having to worry about it and get the best finish possible. Aside from painting all of the walls in the kitchen, we also completely tore out the old laminate countertops and replaced them with raw butcher black that I finished myself. So I'm going to show you how we did that every step of the way and all of the tips and tricks for a professional finish there as well. They turned out so beautifully for only a couple $100. I couldn't even believe it, you guys. That's going to be episode 2. You definitely don't want to miss that one. We also switched out the sink and the faucet, the microwave, made a few little appliance upgrades there, and of course course, we're going to finish out by decorating this space and making sure that it's both functional, beautiful, and cohesive with the rest of the house. I will be painting the lower cabinets as well, but that's not going to be in today's video. I just wanted to really show you the techniques for how to paint your cabinets and achieve a professional finish, and I felt like I could show that with just the uppers and save a little something for that final transformation, a little surprise for what color we chose. But I also wanted to point out that if you are on a really tight budget, you could totally just paint your uppers or just paint your lowers. Two-tone kitchens are in right now, they're trending, so you could get away with doing a complete facelift on your kitchen for just around $60 if you really wanted to, and it would still look just as beautiful. We will be painting it two-toned for the final reveal as well, so leave your guesses for what color we chose down in the comment section. But I just wanted to say, if you want to make some home renovations and some upgrades in your space, but you're on a tight budget, I just want to point out that that's totally achievable for anyone and everyone. You can absolutely do it, and I hope that this video inspires you and emboldens you to try a little DIY in your space and see what a difference it really can make. It goes such a long way in helping you to love your home and the space that you are in.
Okay, we have the first coat of paint on all of the doors. We had to get creative here, and I just wanted to show you this little hack. We ran out of the paint triangles, so we used full bottles of Gatorade, or you could use juice boxes, anything like that, to save a little money on not having to buy all these paint triangles. But also, if you're in a pinch, this is working out great. But anyway, we have the first coat on all of the boxes, all of the doors, and we have to wait 2 to 4 hours before we can do the second coat. Now, that would get pretty redundant and my camera will have a hard time focusing, so I think I'll just probably show you what it looks like and tell you how many coats we ended up having to use to get this completely opaque. You can see here, it's leveling out quite a bit. This is very smooth to the touch, but it's definitely not one coat coverage trying to go from very dark cabinets to white. So keep that in mind. It's going to take, I would say, at least 3 coats, but fingers crossed we can get it done in 2. 4 coats later, and we have bright white cabinet doors and boxes. Look at this. This was a lot of work. 4 coats to get these completely opaque, but it was worth it. They're looking so beautiful now, and it has already brightened up the space so much. Like, if you can remember what that opening clip was like, showing you this view, it was like a shadow on this entire side of the screen, and now look at it. You can already see how much more cohesive it is. It's brighter in this space, and it's a huge motivator to keep going.
So here's where that 2 extra minutes and 1 extra step in the prep time really paid off and bought us back so much time at the end. So I just had to pull out all of these Ziploc bags and was able to get the hardware back on their rightful cabinets, get everything laid out for Derek to come behind me with the drill and screw it all in, and then we were able to rehang them on their boxes so easily because of those post-it labels. Now, we were a 2-man team, so this only took us about 15 to 20 minutes, where it easily could have taken over an hour if we hadn't done this step. But it also saves you time if you're working by yourself. I would just pull all of the bags down, set up all of the hardware first, then go back with your drill, screw all of it in, and then rehang the cabinets according to your labels. So it does make it a little bit easier when you have 2 people working at the same time. But if you're by yourself, don't worry, you can still save time, it can still be stress-free, and these tips can still absolutely work for you.
Okay, cabinet doors are all rehung up on these uppers and they are looking so good. Look at how much brighter this is, you guys, how much better it fits in. It's so much more cohesive. Anyway, getting these hung like even level is a lot harder than you would think, but we did get it done, and having everything laid out like that made it such a smooth process. We did not put the hardware back on. We left that in the plastic bags in here because we are going to be updating those a little bit later, and we're just going to do it all at the same time, the hardware on the lowers and the uppers, but we don't want to lose them, so we kept everything like that. But this is what it's looking like so far, and now we can move on to these countertops.
I actually am going to give you a sneak peek of what we did with the countertops in the very last clip, but first I wanted to share this before one more time to remind you what a black hole this kitchen was, and then I want to show you some really close-up views of these cabinets so that you can really see the finish, how beautifully they turned out, and in my opinion, they totally look professional, and anyone can achieve this kind of finish if you just follow all of the tips and the techniques that I shared in today's video. These are stunning. They went such a long way in transforming this kitchen, just painting these uppers, brighten this space substantially for only around $110. And I just want to remind you, if I can do it, you can do it. So I hope that you enjoyed. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up, and I'll catch you all in part 2.